Folks, I'm not gonna lie to ya. That was heavy. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is the 30th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Congratulations on 30 movies, guys. It's the second Black Panther movie. It's the 15th installment in the MCU's Phase 4 in the Multiverse Saga, the 7th movie in Phase 4, and overall in the MCU, it's the 38th installment. So in this movie, after the events of Avengers Endgame, King T'Challa has passed away, as the actor Chadwick Boseman has in real life. So now the people of Wakanda have to learn to pick up the pieces and move on. When a new enemy comes to the surface, Prince Neymar, played by Tenoch Huerta, and now we gotta deal with that. That's the basic plot of this movie. There's a lot going on here. But yeah, here we go. And yeah, this movie was awesome. Partially due to the fact that, yeah, it is really heavy.
There's that word again, heavy.
Because, touching on it right off the bat, the loss of Chadwick Boseman does play into the story of this movie. Well, his character, T'Challa, anyway. The moral theme of this movie, I would say, centers around coping with loss. The people of Wakanda have lost their king and protector, which could leave the country more vulnerable than they've been in a while. But not only that, the characters have to deal with it. Biggest example being Shuri, played once again by Letitia Wright, and yeah, this really is her movie. She is the emotional center of it. God, she's great in this film. Actually, there are a few standout characters here. Shuri is one of them. Angela Bassett as Queen Ramonda is certainly another. Oh my god, she has some great moments in this movie where she is just pouring her heart out. I'd say she is the MVP here. Angela Bassett really gave it her all. So all sorts of props to her. Denai Guerrera is back as Okoye. She has an interesting arc in this movie. It's not touched on in the trailer, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But it is one that got me by surprise. Winston Duke is back as M'Baku. And once again, he has some moments that had people laughing. Cause he is more or less the comic relief of Wakanda. But more than that, he is still a badass warrior. He's the leader of the Jabari tribe. I just love it when he takes over a scene with those gorilla barks. Hoo! Hoo! That really helps me get into it. I love it. And now for the new characters. First and foremost, Neymar. Tenoch Huerta is great in this movie as the villain. In my opinion, I wouldn't say he's as good of a villain as Killmonger was in the first Black Panther movie. But that aside, we do get his motivations. His dialogue is really good when he's talking one-on-one with a character. And his action scenes in particular, when he is going to town, just beating the shit out of shit, it's awesome. More so when he's flying in the air. He's got those wings on his ankles. There's some stuff he does where I was like, that was cool. He honestly had the coolest action scenes in the movie to me. And lastly, I gotta talk about Riri Williams, played by Dominique Thorne. Marvel fans know her as Ironheart. She's introduced to the MCU in this movie. And she actually is a part of the plot here. She's not like Spider-Man in Civil War, where if they were not in the movie would be no different plot-wise. No, she's introduced as a supporting character. I like Dominique Thorne in the role. She's smart, she's charismatic, she has fun with it, and I like seeing her testing out her tech. That was really cool to see, actually. All the Ironheart stuff, I was like, alright, it works in this movie. It's one of the many cogs this film has going for it, because this movie's actually pretty dense. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and they really don't waste a second. They jam-pack this movie with content. Like I said, lots of stuff going on in this one. With Wakanda dealing with the loss of T'Challa, and Namor coming from his village of Talocan, not Atlantis as it is in the comics. Which I imagine is because Aquaman did Atlantis first for movies. So Marvel was like, alright, we can't do Atlantis because people might get confused. So we're gonna change Namor's lore a little bit. He now comes from the city of Talocan, deep under the ocean. Alright, fair enough. But there's that, and then there's Ironheart, and Martin Freeman is back as Everett Ross. He's got a side thing going on. But it all works in service of the story. Ryan Coogler, who came back to direct, he did a great job with this one. I mean, in case you couldn't tell, I'm still emotionally drained from watching this. I saw this last night. But of course, it's because the emotional scenes, they really hit hard. And it's obvious why. When you're dealing with the loss of a loved one, people grieve in different ways. We do see how all the characters deal with it in their own ways. And the one that hits the hardest is Shuri. I actually love the deep dive this movie took into her character in particular. We learn more about her in this movie than we ever have. And it was really interesting to me. I mean, the people of Wakanda, they lost their king, yeah, but she lost her brother. Her brother. Someone she was extremely close to. You don't just move on from that. More than any other character in this movie, we see her grieving process the most. And it was so well done, so well written. It really is one of the biggest highlights of the film for me. And of course, this being a Marvel movie, the action scenes are awesome. I already talked about it a little bit with Neymar, but when people are throwing down, there are some shots in this film, it's just a one long take. They're not necessarily action scenes, but they're so engrossing. They really bring you into the film emotionally, as if we're not emotionally attached to this film already before you even see it. But I'm just saying, man, there are some moments here where I was like, oh, okay, so this movie's just going for the jugular. It's trying to make us cry, alright? So yeah, prepare for that. And of course, this movie being a Black Panther movie in particular, I've got to talk about the music. Ludwig Göransson came back to write the score. And yeah, of course he brought back that amazing Black Panther Wakanda theme that he wrote for the first movie. And I love it now more than ever. And then he wrote a new theme for the Talokan people, which I'm just gonna say, if you've played Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you'll recognize a lot of the cultural influence in the architecture, in the music. I know, I've mentioned it before. I'm just saying though, I couldn't help but think about it. Talokan is inspired by Mayan culture. So that stuff was really cool to see. I was like, oh yeah, I remember exploring places like this as Lara Croft. But yeah, point is, the music was awesome. I don't know if I like this score as much as the score from the first Black Panther movie. That might just be because when the first one came out, that score was just completely original. That's probably it. But in the end, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is exactly what I wanted it to be. It's a great tribute to Chadwick Boseman. It deals with those heavy-ass topics. The emotions land so easily. The visual effects are great. The acting is awesome. The character arcs, they really make the movie. You feel for everyone here. This isn't a casual watch. Some of the action scenes you could put on in the background, sure. But really, you gotta sit down and invest your time in it. And I'm totally willing to do that again. I love this movie. It's the best MCU movie of the year. For Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I will say, go see this movie right now. And there is a mid-credit scene, but no post-credit scene. Of course, that's not gonna stop hardcore Marvel fans from staying through all the credits anyway. I did. So, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Have you seen it yet? What are your thoughts on it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Peace.